Champ now. Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talking. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I was on a Bomber of the Month tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Would you be on the tour?
What's happening, my people? It's Cash Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. So, salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cash Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the life and career of the Viper, Vernon Forrest. The Viper, Vernon Forrest. Has the family today. It's Friday, right up on another weekend at live boxing. I forgot all week we got the big women's match this weekend. Savannah Marshall, Sadeja Green. Pulling for Sadeja, but my mind is saying Savannah. Okay. By decision. That's my pick on it. But wouldn't mind seeing Sadeja pull it out. But Savannah Marshall is a very talented boxer. You know. Only person that ever beat the GOAT, Clarissa Shields. Although it was amateur, but she's the only one to ever beat her. And gave her a good run for the money when they fought at the professional level. Okay? So yeah, we got that this weekend, and Josh Taylor. But today we're going to be talking about the Viper, Vernon Forrest. Okay, life was cut short at age 38. He was murdered during a robbery. We're going to cover all that today. But it's Friday, pulled up on another weekend. At the end of another big week of boxing history on Cast Sports the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. Now, for the highlights of boxing history today, we're going to talk about Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. And, why did Joe Frazier and Ken Norton got demolished by George Foreman, but then they both gave Ali all he could handle. Each had a win against him. Norton arguably had 3, but they got demolished by George Foreman, but yet Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman. So we're going to talk about that situation on the highlights of boxing history today. And Vernon Forrest is not a long profile. So after the Vernon Forrest profile, I got 20 of the most dangerous punches in boxing history. I got 20 boxers and their signature punch. Like for example, that Joe Frazier left hook. You're talking about a boxer's signature punches. Joe Frazier and that left hook has to come up. And George Foreman and that short right hand he had. Rocky Marciano in any type of right hand, Suzy Q. And Muhammad Ali in that left jab. We're going to talk about 20 boxers and their signature punch after the Vernon Forrest profile. Okay. But for the highlights of boxing history, we're going to talk about these 4 heavyweights and a series of fights they had. Ken Norton, Joe Frazier, Big George Foreman, and the greatest, Muhammad Ali. So let's get into the highlights of boxing history right now. Okay. And we got a big show Monday too. It's going to be the 4 Kings fights. There were 9 4 Kings fights, and we're going to just examine all of them. We're going to look at the lead up to all the fights, the actual fight, and then the aftermath of all 9 4 Kings fights coming up Monday on Cast Sports. Don't miss it. But right now, it's the highlights of boxing history. We're going to talk about those 3 jumping on the screen, plus Ken Norton and the series of fights they had between each other. And why did, like I said, Ken Norton and Joe Frazier gave Ali all he could handle, got demolished by George Foreman, and then Ali beat George Foreman. So let's talk about that, okay? Now, why was Joe Frazier able to perform so much better than George Foreman against Muhammad Ali, yet lost to Foreman easily when they fought, right? Ken Norton, same thing. Performed so much better than George Foreman did against Ali, arguably beat Ali 3 times, but got demolished by Foreman. There's only one answer. And it's the oldest truism in boxing. Styles make fights, right? Styles make fights. Now, Joe Frazier's style and skill set, just like Ken Norton, matched up very well against Ali and extremely poor against Big George Foreman, right? Now, the biggest fanboy assumption is this. If fighter A beats fighter B and fighter B beats fighter C, then fighter A absolutely will be able to defeat fighter C, okay? Now, nope, that's not true though. Now, if that were true, Foreman, who destroyed both Frazier and Norton, who had both beaten Ali, then Big George would have easily destroyed Ali, right? But the opposite was true, because styles make fights. Again, the oldest truism in the sport of boxing. Styles make fights. No truer words have ever been spoken. Now, Frazier and Norton styles, like I said, matched up very well against Ali and poorly against Foreman. Ali's skill set was picture perfect to beat Big George. Why? Glad you asked. I'm going to tell you why. The oldest adage in boxing is this: because A beats B and B beats C, it does not mean that A beats C. It has been proven time and again, over and over and over. And this situation right here between these four fighters proves it. Frazier, Foreman, Ali, and Norton. Okay? Again, styles make fights. Now, A's style might have been too much for B, whose style was too much for C, whose style was all wrong for A. Matchup, not one loss, is the key. The matchup and the style. Now, Foreman easily beat Norton and Frazier, and it would have done so every time they met. Frazier and Foreman's infighter styles was tailor-made for Big George. Now, Ali, wily and adaptable, with a chin of iron and faster hands than either Frazier or Norton, was not tailor-made for Big George. Big George was tailor-made for Ali. Okay? Big George was tailor-made for Ali. Now, Foreman himself drank the Kool-Aid. Yep, Foreman drank the Kool-Aid because Foreman believed since both Norton and Frazier had beaten Ali and Ali couldn't knock either of them down, and since he had dispatched both Foreman and Frazier in less than 4 rounds with 9 knockdowns combined, he was going to have an easy time with Ali, right? Foreman drank the Kool-Aid, yeah. He thought because he had such an easy time with Frazier and Norton, and Ali had such a tough time with him, he thought he was going to have an easy time with Ali. After all, Foreman thought at that point, Frazier and Norton had both gone over 50 rounds with Ali, and each had won 1 fight. And Ali was unable to hurt either one of them in any of those fights, right? They didn't last 4 rounds with Foreman. Both of them got battered mercilessly. So he thought Ali would be easy, right? Mike Massey, what's up, Mike? We're talking about Frazier, Foreman, Ali, and Norton, and why did Foreman had an easy time with Norton and Frazier. Norton and Frazier gave Ali all he could handle, but Ali beat Foreman because styles make fights. But salute, Mike. Let's continue. Let's Talk Fashion in the building. What's up, Let's Talk Fashion? I'm glad you're here, Let's Talk Fashion, because you got to check out these images I got, man. I have finally figured out how to do it without taking pictures with my phone. Check these images out. I should get an A++. But let's salute Let's Talk Fashion. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. A blend of fashion, sports, entertainment, and life. Let's Talk Fashion. Okay, let's get back to it now. Yeah, Foreman drank the Kool-Aid because he thought since he had such an easy time with Frazier and Frazier and Norton gave Ali so much trouble, each beating them once, Frazier thought he was going to have an easy time with Ali. But the opposite happened. Okay. Now, prior to the fight with Ali, Foreman and his team actually prayed in the dressing room that he didn't accidentally kill Ali. They actually did that. Him and his team knelt down and prayed in the dressing room that he didn't accidentally kill Ali that night in the ring. That's how much confidence he had that Ali was going to be easy. He prayed that he didn't kill him in there accidentally, right? Now, of course, it did not work out that way. It did not work out that way at all. Okay, right? But yeah, they did, man. Actually, Foreman and his team actually prayed that he didn't go in there and kill the man by accident, right? But what happened was, Ali was like most outboxers, most vulnerable to swarming infighters like Frazier and Norton. Okay? Now, it didn't mean he could not be beat by a swarming infighter. I mean, it didn't mean he could not be beat by swarming infighters. Ali beat both Frazier and Norton in 2 rematches. But none of those fights were easy. Because Joe Frazier was all action and all heart. Yeah, we might run over 2:30 because Vernon Forrest is not a long one. So the highlights of boxing history might go for a minute. But it's an interesting one, right? Then Joseph William Frazier, nicknamed Smoking Joe, right? You know, he had a bad left arm. He was mauled by a giant pig when he was 13, right? Born in abject poverty. We're going to fast forward past that because we've been through all of that before. Now, as a boxer, Joe Frazier's legacy will always be intertwined with Muhammad Ali. You know, they brought out the best in each other, and each was yin to the other's yang. Their first fight in 1971 at the Garden in New York will always be remembered as a generational event. Not a fight, a generational event. What's up, Ace? In the building. And Donnie Williams. Salute, gentlemen. We're going to get into Vernon Forrest shortly. But first, the highlight of boxing history is the combination of fights between those three on the screen, Frazier, Foreman, and Ali, and Ken Norton, you know, because, you know, it proves that triangle theory don't work. When A beats B, B beats C, it doesn't mean A will beat C. The perfect proof of that is these 4 gentlemen right here. Now, Ali and Frazier were a generational event. Now, Joe Frazier was one of the toughest, most determined, strongest heavyweights ever, and an all-time great, generally ranked between 5th and 10th of all-time great heavyweights, right? Now, he started boxing at 17 to lose weight, and he weighed 230 pounds at age 17. And of course, Joe won a gold medal in the Olympics, 64. Ali won it in 60. They had the back. Ali in 60, Frazier 64, Big George 68, okay? So, no one ever knocked Frazier out, right? And only George Foreman and Oscar Bonavena were ever able to knock him down. Now, he got stopped, but it was a TKO. He didn't get knocked out by Foreman. Ray Patterson, what's up, RP? How are you today? Good to see you, RP. Okay, let's get back to it. Appreciate everybody rocking with me today on this Friday afternoon. Yeah, Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. That is that RP, the one straight out of New Jersey, right? Now in Manila, going into the 15th round, Joe Frazier was blind, couldn't see out of either eye, and was arguing with Eddie Futch to not stop the fight, okay? And George Foreman said about fighting Joe Frazier. George said, people often talk about how Joe Frazier was knocked down 6 times in the fight with me. But the amazing thing is, he got up 6 times. And Big George said, I've never seen anything like that. And Big George said he was thinking when Frazier kept getting up. Big George said, I better get this guy out of here or he gonna end up getting me. Big George said he better finish Joe Frazier because Joe Frazier gonna end up finishing him because he kept getting up and the referee stepped in and stopped it eventually. But he could have knocked Joe Frazier down 100 times. Joe Frazier was gonna get up 100 times, okay? Now, during Ali's exile from boxing, Joe Frazier had risen to the World Heavyweight Championship. And Joe was a swarmer, a short, compact heavyweight who was a terrific two-handed body puncher. And he possessed endless desire and stamina and actually got stronger as the fight progressed, okay? Joe was kind of like Rocky Marciano. They both got stronger as the fight went on. And Joe was the ultimate catch and kill fighter because he had mastered cutting off the ring and forcing his opponent into wars. That's how he did Ali, master at cutting the ring off. And Joe's signature punch was that left hook. He threw with equal force to the body or head. And later in the show, we're going to have I got 20 boxes and we're going to talk about their signature punches. And you know Joe Frazier's left hook is one of them. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, he was one of the few fighters that got strong every round. Now, Ken Norton. Ken was an extremely powerful, quick heavyweight. And Ken used his power well, and he had a far better jab than he got credit for. Okay? Ken used an unusual, almost crab-like stance, and extremely unusual for a man 6'3" tall with an 80-inch reach. He fought as a swarmer, a pressure fighter. That is very unusual for somebody with that type of size being a swarmer. Usually shorter, compact guys like a Joe Frazier or a Rocky Marciano that fights that swarmer style, you know? Yeah. And Ken Norton's style was a right purring hand to block his opponent's jab. And he had an excellent, good left jab in return. Constant pressure on the inside, a strong body attack, and a good left hook. And Norton's trainer Eddie Futz said, this jab was a big reason Muhammad Ali never figured out why he had so much trouble with Ken Norton in their 3 fights. Norton's jab and his strength were the 2 factors that troubled Ali the most, jab and his strength. According to Hall of Fame trainer Ray Arcel. Ray Arcel said, Ali was a lot stronger than he was given credit for, and he depended on that quick jab. But Norton was stronger, longer, and his jab was almost as good as Ali's, okay? And the best analysis of why Norton was able to give Ali so much trouble comes again from Ken Norton himself, okay? Ken said, Ken was asked, told by a reporter, of all the fighters Ali has beaten, you are the only one he never beat convincing. And Norton responded, a lot of it was the mental part of it. Ali defeated everyone mentally first. With Joe Frazier, Ali had him so mad, Joe was trying to kill him with every punch. Same thing with Foreman. Foreman was so mad, he tried to kill Ali with every punch also. Mentally, Ali could not defeat me, and physically, I felt I was as much of physical power as Ali was. He couldn't upset me in any way, and plus, I had Eddie Futz. Eddie knew how to fight Ali. That was Ken Norton. 100% right, because Ali had 5 losses in his career. 4 of those losses, Eddie Futz was the opposing trainer, okay? 4 Ali's losses, Eddie Futz was in the other corner. I think it was Norton, Holmes, Berbick, and Frazier. The only one loss Ali had that it wasn't against the Eddie Futz trained fighter was Leon Spinks. So Eddie Futz knew how to fight Ali, and his fighters gave Ali 4 of his 5 losses. Now, Norton's style, his strength, his pressure, coupled with his jab and odd stance, troubled Ali more than any other fighter not named Joe Frazier. Okay? Now, Foreman came into the Ali fight way overconfident, because he had destroyed the 2 men who had beaten Ali, Joe Frazier and Ken Norton. So Foreman expected he was going to destroy Ali as well. I told you, Foreman drank the Kool-Aid. He drank the Kool-Aid. Thomas T. Hill. What's up, T. Hill? In the building. I'm trying to disprove that theory. If fighter A beats fighter B and B beats C, then A will beat C. No. Foreman, Frazier, Norton, Ali proved that to not be as far from the truth as you can get, because styles make fights. And remember, T. Hill, Foreman destroyed Frazier and Norton, and Frazier and Norton gave Ali some of the most trouble he had in his career, but Ali beat Foreman. Okay? So let's continue. But salute T. Hill. Now, Foreman came into the Ali fight very overconfident. Okay? He thought he was going to kill her. I told you, him and his team before the fight in the dressing room, Foreman and his team actually got on their knees and prayed that he didn't accidentally kill Ali. That's how confident Foreman was he was going to beat Ali. He prayed he didn't accidentally kill him in there. Okay? I was kind of thinking the same thing before that fight. But anyway, since Frazier had given Ali his first defeat and Norton his second, Foreman destroyed both of them, right? Foreman just knew he would finish Ali in a short order, like a couple rounds, just like he did Norton and Frazier, right? Foreman was like 2-3 rounds at the most. This thing gonna be over with. Now, George's biggest fear going into the fight, I told you, was killing Ali by accident. I told you him and the team prayed in the room before the fight that that didn't happen. Now, again, styles make fights, and a swarmer like Frazier has to rush forward and engage. And Foreman's powerhouse left jab kept Frazier at arm's length, where Foreman hit him repeatedly with both right uppercuts and left hooks. And before Frazier met Foreman in Jamaica, Angelo Dundee openly worried that Frazier was endangering his multi-million-dollar rematch with Ali, because they had the rematch with Ali scheduled when Frazier fought Foreman, and Angelo Dundee was worried Frazier was putting that fight in jeopardy, going in there with Foreman. You know, Angelo Dundee scared Foreman might end Frazier's career. Okay, so Angelo Dundee said, Joe's style is all wrong for this guy. I'm rooting for Joe, but I've got this feeling Foreman will win. Why? Because he has all the attributes to beat Joe Frazier's style. He's got a jab like I've never seen as a heavyweight since Sonny Liston, as far as the power and everything of it. He has a strong left hand, and he can stop a man in his tracks. And that was the difference in the fight with Joe Frazier, because Joe Frazier was always coming forward. George Foreman stopped him in his tracks over and over. And then once he stopped Frazier, that right hand uppercut came, and that left hook came behind it, right? And prime Foreman was strong and quick and could cut off a ring. Foreman had power with a capital P. And in his prime, he was an astonishingly athletic and fast fighter who cut off the ring as well as anyone since Joe Louis. Yeah, young fighters want to get lessons on cutting off the ring. Watch George Foreman or Joe Louis, old tapes, right? The all-time greats such as Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis both commented that Foreman was the strongest heavyweight they had ever seen, right? And they've seen a lot, Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis. Joe Louis quoted that George Foreman was the best fighter at cutting off the ring he ever saw. And Jack Dempsey said, it ought to be a crime to be that damn strong, like Foreman was, right? Jack Dempsey said it ought to be a crime. Mike Grimm in the building, the birthday guy himself. Salute Mike Grimm. Happy birthday. Appreciate you spending part of it supporting the show today. And damn, Mike, when Jay hit that bag, I was like, damn, Mike Grimm up here with me. But yeah, appreciate you 1,000%, Mike Grimm. Happy birthday. Appreciate you, Mike Grimm. Enjoy your day, my brother. Okay. All right, let's continue. We talking about Frazier, Foreman, Ali, and Norton. Norton ain't on the picture, but yeah, he figures into this too. Yeah, Jack Dempsey said it ought to be a crime to be strong as Foreman was, right? Now, Frazier had routinely beaten bigger men his entire career. He was always the smaller man, just like Rocky Marciano, and he had routinely beaten him. He only lost to 2 men. His 4 losses was 2 to Ali, 2 to Foreman. He had routinely beaten big men. So Frazier was confident that he could handle George Foreman too. And he had, for instance, easily knocked out Buster Mathis, right? Buster was as tall and heavy, and he was heavier than Foreman. And Buster was undefeated when he met Frazier, right? And the only losses in his career was to Frazier, Ali, Joey Quarry, and Ron Lau. Now, Buster, okay, when he met Frazier, who knocked him into the next week with a left hook. Matthews had a powerful right hand, and it earned him 21 knockouts in his 30 wins. But match was no right for Joe's left hook. And Buster Matthews was 6'3" and weighed 243 pounds when he fought Joe Frazier. And Joe Frazier came into that fight at 204. Buster outweighed him by 40 pounds. Joe had no trouble with him. So Joe was confident that he could beat George Foreman because he had beaten bigger men his entire career. But when Foreman fought him in 1973, Frazier expected to prevail as he always did, but instead, Foreman gave him the most lopsided beating of his career. And with Norton was a powerful man with great physical strength, and he confidently moved forward against George, and that was a big mistake, okay? But Ali was able to do what Frazier and Norton could not do. Now, when Ali was preparing to face George Foreman for the heavyweight championship of the world, Frazier, who had knocked him down and defeated him in the fight of the century, right? And Kid Norton had broken his jaw. And again, George Foreman had no trouble with either of them. But Ali had avenged both losses, but they were still on his record, right? Now, Ali was a realist. He knew his speed was partially gone, coming into the Foreman fight, and his ability to dance around Foreman for 15 rounds was also gone. So he set out to plan other strategies. So what happened? What exactly happened in Zaire? Now, Foreman did not lose in Zaire to Ali just because he didn't train for a 15-round fight. There were other crucial factors in play. George lost to Ali in Zaire for 3 reasons, okay? Number 1, now Foreman was badly cut in sparring before the fight. So the fight had to be delayed. And George lost 5 weeks of sparring. He said, before the fight was delayed for the original date, he said, I was in the best shape of my life before any fight at that point. Had the fight taken place on the original date, I would have won. Now, number 2, Ali surprised Foreman and fought a completely different fight than the one he trained for. Okay, and I got a little story on that in a minute. But the game plan Foreman and his team, Archie Moore and his rest of his team trained for, Ali fought a completely different fight. And number 3, Foreman's corner made absolutely no adjustments when it was obvious that the game plan they came in with was not working. They continuously came out every round, and when Ali went to the ropes, Foreman just pounded and pounded and pounded away every round. Never changed up at all, nothing. That was the 3rd reason why he lost. No adjustments. Now, Ali was lucky. The delay from the cut badly hampered Foreman. Foreman and Ali spent much of the summer of 1974 training in Zaire and getting their bodies used to the weather in the tropical African country. Now, the fight was originally set to happen on September 24th, but the fight was postponed after Foreman was cut during training. It was rescheduled 5 weeks later on October 30th, okay? So like a month and a week. Originally set for September 24th, but it actually happened on September 30th, okay? But Don King had a big concert planned, so it was beautiful. He had the Godfather of Soul himself, James Brown, headlining the event. The Crusaders. He had the tip top of soul music in 1974. The Crusaders, B.B. King, the Spinners, Bill Withers, had them all in there, man. Mike Rim knows, because I saw this morning, Mike Rim up there with me. So Mike Rim know what I'm talking about. Them names, James Brown, Bill Withers, the Spinners, B.B. King. Tell him, Mike. That was the top, and Don King had them all over there. And they made a movie out of that. It's called Soul Power, an award-winning movie. Came out in the 90s. But anyway, let's get back to this. Now, George Foreman said, the guy hit him with an elbow. That's how he got cut in sparring. And he said Muhammad couldn't have stood up to me if the fight would have went on on the original date, September 24th. And he said after he got cut, he couldn't run for 10 days and he couldn't spar for 20 days, right? All he could do was hit the bag. And he said all of his rhythm was gone. So the delay was deadly for Foreman. He was not able to spar till right before the new date for the fight came around. And his timing was completely gone. But I think Ali would have still beat him because Foreman still fell for the rope-a-dope. And Ali completely surprised George by his willingness to engage, right? So George, and more importantly his team, completely misread what style Ali was going to use. George expected Ali to run, and he would catch him. He never thought Ali would go to the ropes and exchange with him. And Foreman later told Ali's biographer, Tom Hauser, what I remember most about that fight was, I went out and hit Muhammad with the hardest shot to the body I ever delivered to any opponent. Anybody else in the world would have crumpled. Muhammad cringed. I could see I hurt him. And then he looked at me. He had that look in his eyes like he was saying, I'm not going to allow you to hurt me. Now, though the smart money had George easily winning the fight, pre-fight odds were 3.5 to 1 against Ali. Now, Joe Frazier, who had fought both of them, had an interesting take on it, right? Joe Frazier said before the fight, I think Ali did not win the fight simply because George got tired in the heat. Ali won for the supreme self-confidence, great preparation, and a fabulous fight plan. Now, Frazier said that after the fight, but before the fight, Joe Frazier picked Ali to win it. Okay, and he had fought both of them. Frazier had picked Ali. Now, this is an interesting story. I had never heard this before. Ali met this photographer over there while he was training for the fight named George Kalis in Zaire, right? And he told this photographer in confidence that he thought he was in trouble because Ali had snuck in and watched the Foreman sparring session. And he saw how good Foreman was at cutting the ring off. So he told this photographer he didn't think he could dance for 15 rounds and stay away from Foreman. So he had to come up with something else. That's where the rope-a-dope came from. Because Ali had snuck in and watched Foreman sparring. And he told this photographer he was in trouble because Foreman really couldn't cut that ring off. So he had to come up with something else. So he invited this photographer to his training. This is how he came up with the rope-a-dope. He invited this photographer to his training camp, and the photographer was watching him sparring. And this one particular day, Ali was letting one of his sparring partners hit him to the body as well. They were working on his body. He was trying to strengthen his body up. So that day, his sparring partner was hitting him in the body with a lot of punches. And the photographer told him, why don't you do that against George? Ali was like, what you mean? He said, be like a dope on the ropes. Let him go to your body. And Ali was like, oh, you mean do like a rope-a-dope? That's where the rope-a-dope name came from. But now that's not a new strategy because fighters been using that for decades on the ropes, tying their opponents up. But Ali just gave it the name. Because Ali had seen Archie Moore and Sugar Ray Robinson do that for years, that rope-a-dope, but it just wasn't called the rope-a-dope before Ali. But that's how he came up with the name. This photographer suggested it to him, and Ali said the rope-a-dope. Okay, so it's stuck. Okay, and the phrase rope-a-dope went down in the history. It became a brand new strategy. And like I said, it wasn't new, it was just a new name for it because fighters had been doing that for years. Now, Ali had done extensive film study on Foreman, and he took confidence from watching video of Foreman knocking Frazier down 6 times to win the title. You know why? Because Ali said, each time Foreman knocked Frazier down, he went to the ropes in the neutral corner and he always had his hands on the ropes. So Ali said, wait, no stamina. Wait till he has round 6, round 7, round 8. Okay? And so when the bell sounded for the first round, George Foreman expected Ali to dance. Instead, Ali rushed Foreman and hit George right in the mouth with a right-hand lead. And that right-hand lead was on the entire fight. Yeah, right-hand lead is simply exactly what it's called, a right-hand lead. It's leading with the right hand with no setup at all from the left. Right-hand lead. And that right-hand lead was on the entire fight. Who, me? I know I wasn't calling you old. I'm older than you, Mike. I got you by a couple of years. Mike says, you know it's my birthday and you calling me old. You ain't slick. Appreciate you though, Mike. Happy birthday. Today is also Marvin Hagler's birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday to Mike. Happy birthday to Mike Wim and Marvin Hagler. But yeah, George Foreman expected Ali to dance and move, but Ali came straight out and stepped straight to him, caught him with a right-hand lead, the first punch of the fight, right in the mouth. And that right-hand lead was on the entire fight throughout. And no fight plan has ever worked better than Ali's did, right? In the Rumble in the Jungle. And it's very simple why Norton and Frazier didn't work against Foreman. Because Frazier couldn't get to Foreman, okay? Because Foreman had that power jab and that right hand and left hook behind it. And Norton made the mistake of trying to go strength for strength against Foreman. Norton was strong, but he couldn't match Foreman. And it was a big mistake. Okay. So let's go to who's the profile today? Anybody know? I forgot. No, I'm just joking. The Viper, Vernon Forrest. Okay, let's get to Vernon. Yeah, that was that triangle theory don't work. A can beat B, B can beat C, but it's still don't guarantee that A gonna beat C. Those 4 gentlemen, perfect example of it, you know. Okay, let's get this Vernon Forrest profile going. And it's a short one, so that's why I let the highlight of boxing history run a little long. And then we got 20 fighters and their signature punches. You know, like I said, Joe Frazier's left hook, George Foreman's short right, any right hand from Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali's left jab. Yeah, we got some signature punches coming up. Damn, I got 14 likes already. And 344 views. No, I'm just kidding. 14 likes already, though. Oh, come on. I can't get into the chat. Oh, there we go. I can't. Oh, damn. Turn it down, Ken. Yeah, I'm in. I couldn't get. I like to run be in my own lives too, you know. Right. Okay. The life and career of Vernon Forrest. Okay. The Viper. That's what they called him. Yeah, the Viper. That was his nickname. There's the Viper. How's everybody today? I was talking about the fights all week. I forgot about Savannah Marshall and Shadeja Green. Now I'm pulling for Shadeja, but I'm picking Savannah Marshall to beat her. Yeah. I just think she's gonna be a little too much. It's gonna be a decision. A competitive unanimous decision for Savannah Marshall. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I think Savannah gonna be a little too much. Okay. Here we go. The life and career of the Viper, Vernon Forrest. You see, let's talk fashion. You still in here? You see them? See them? Images, man. Beautiful. Leave me alone. Okay. Yeah, let's talk fashion. The fashion show, Fire Fashion Show. Like I said, a blend of fashion, sports, entertainment, and life. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Okay, here we go. Vernon Forrest. God damn, I didn't know I had that many images. Wow. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Life and career, Vernon Forrest. Now, Vernon Forrest was born February 12th, 1971. He was murdered July 25th, 2009, okay? He competed from 1992 to 2008, 16-year career. Now, he held multiple world championships in 2 weight classes, including the WBC, IBF, Ring Magazine, and Lineal welterweight titles between 2002 and 2003. And he had the WBC super welterweight title twice between 2007 and 2009. Now, in 2002, Forrest was named Fighter of the Year by the Ring and the Boxing Writers Association of America. In 2009, Forrest was murdered after he was robbed at a gas station in the Mechanicsville neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to get into that a little bit more later on. Okay. Now let's look at Vernon's early years and his amateur career. Early years and amateur career for Vernon. Okay. Now he was a native of Augusta, Georgia. Forrest began boxing at the age of 9. After compiling an impressive 225 wins, 16 loss record as an amateur, he became the 1992 U.S. Junior Welterweight Champion, and he won silver at the 1991 World Amateur Boxing Championships, losing in the finals to Kostya Tszyu, right, at the World Amateur Championships. Lost to Kostya Tszyu. Now, Forrest was the first in his family to graduate from high school, receiving his diploma from Marquette Senior High School in Marquette, Michigan. Okay. Now, staying in Marquette, Forrest was on scholarship to Northern Michigan University, where he majored in business administration through the U.S. Olympic Education Center. Okay. Now, Forrest continued to train with the U.S. national team under head coach Al Mitchell. Okay. Now, Vernon Forrest was a member of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team during the Summer Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. He earned his Olympic position by beating Shane Mosley in the trial. So he had Shane Mosley numbering the amateurs too. After that fight, Forrest was the gold medal favorite heading into the Olympic tournament. Now he would have to fight Cuban fighter Hector Vignette, a former gold medalist, before reaching that goal, before he could get to the gold medal, right? However, Vernon was stricken with food poisoning a day before his first round fight, and he was beaten by Peter Richardson, who he previously defeated in a fight at the 1991 World Amateur Boxing Championship, en route to winning the silver medal. Excuse me for a minute. Let me cut this window. They cutting grass. One momento. I should always be right up there. Like this time. But ain't no. Man, the window is closed. Wow. That was loud. The window was closed. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah, Vernon had got food poisoning the day before his first round fight. He ended up losing to a guy he had beaten before in the amateurs. So after the Olympics, he returned home to Augusta, Georgia. Then he moved to Las Vegas and made his pro debut on November 25th, 1992. Okay, so let's get into Vernon's professional career now. Okay, pro career for Vernon Forrest. Now, in his pro debut in November 1992, he defeated Charles Hawkins. Through 1996, he stopped 13 out of his first 15 opponents. 5 of them were stopped in the first round. Okay? And by the way, Vernon, he called the Viper, and he fought at junior welterweight, and junior middleweight, and he was 6 feet tall, even 72.5 inch reach, and he fought out of the orthodox stance. Had a total of 45 fights. He won 41, lost 3, had 1 no contest, and 29 knockouts. Forgot to give you that. Okay, let's go back to his pro career where we were at. Okay, because he started at junior welterweight, but now I think after like 13 or so fights, early in his career, he moved up to welterweight. Okay, so welterweight. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, nothing. Everybody just greeting each other. Welterweight. Now, as the years went by, Forrest won a few minor title belts. In the year 2000, he finally got his chance to fight for a major title against Raul Frank for the IBF welterweight title. Now, unfortunately for Forrest, a cut caused by an accidental headbutt ended the fight in round 3, and the fight was a no contest because the guy get the 4 rounds. Remember that 1 no contest? That was it right there. So he didn't get his title at welterweight, but he got his first title. He did become a champion at welterweight eventually. IBF welterweight champion. Let's talk about that. So he fought Frank again in a rematch at Madison Square Garden. Now Frank still had the title because there's no contest. The title didn't change hands. So he met him at a rematch at Madison Square Garden on May 12th, 2001 on a Felix Trinidad undercard. And Forrest dominated Hawkins and won the fight by a unanimous decision to claim his first major pro boxing title, the IBF welterweight title. Okay? Now, yeah, you got the IBF welterweight title. Now, Forrest Mosley won. There's him and Sugar Shane right there. Okay? In 2001, he fought the WBC and linear welterweight champion, which was Sugar Shane Mosley. Now, many considered Mosley to be the best fighter in the world at that time. He was a betting favorite to win the fight against Forrest. Now, despite being the favorite, Mosley was dominated by Forrest in this fight. Both fighters initially started strong, landing hard shots, but in the second round, Forrest had Mosley hurt early and knocked him down for the first time in Sugar Shane's career. A series of strong punches would put Sugar Shane down again later in the second round, same round. With his dominant performance, Forrest was also awarded the Ring Magazine welterweight title. Okay, he won the IBF title, and the Ring made him their welterweight champion. The Ring Magazine made him their champion. So he gave Sugar Shane a rematch. Forrest Mosley too. Okay, immediate rematch. Now, 6 months later, Forrest once again squared off against Sugar Shane in a rematch. Now, despite a stronger performance from Sugar Shane, Forrest won a clear-cut decision using his jab more effectively this time and through superior ring generalship. Forrest was now considered by many to be one of the top fighters in the world. Because remember, before the first Sugar Shane fight, Sugar Shane was considered the top pound for pound. So Forrest done beat him twice back to back. So he gotta get some consideration for being number 1 pound for pound, right? So next was Forrest versus Mayorga one. He had 2 fights against Ricardo Mayorga. Okay, Forrest versus Mayorga won. Now, in January 2003, Forrest fought the WBA welterweight champion, Ricardo Mayorga, for unification. Now, Mayorga was a mostly unknown fringe contender from Nicaragua at that time, and few gave him a chance to win against the significantly bigger and stronger Vernon Forrest. Okay? Mayorga shocked the world when he easily dominated Forrest, dropping him once in the first round and again in the third round. And the referee stopped the fight after the second knockdown in the third round, as Forrest was visibly dazed and unable to get his footing. Okay? He got to his feet, but he was just discombobulated or whatever. He couldn't get himself together, and the referee stepped in and stopped it. Okay? Mayorga stopped it in the third round. So they had an immediate rematch. That's what fighters did back then. You know what I mean? Crush, the legend, in the building. What's up, Crush? Look at that, man. Oh, there it is. What's up, Crush, the legend? Fire show this morning. Okay, with the Crush doing the Sean Combs updates. Like I said, Crush better than a lot of them lawyers that's doing the updates, because Crush got that hip hop background. He know that history. Those lawyers don't. That's what makes Crush's updates so much better. 6 o'clock Monday through Friday. The coffee and the donuts with Crush, the legend. From the STN too, Sports Talk Network. Salute, Crush. Okay. So yeah, we go on Vernon Forrest today, Crush. We up to the second fight between him and Mayorga. Forrest Mayorga 2. Now Mayorga shocked the world because Mayorga wasn't that well known then when he fought Vernon Forrest. And he not only beat him, he dominated him and stopped him in the third round. So Forrest versus Mayorga 2. Okay. Now Forrest would rematch Mayorga 6 months later after the first fight, losing again, this time by a majority decision. And the fight was close and competitive throughout, with Mayorga mostly chasing Forrest around the ring, while Forrest was content to fight from the outside. But Mayorga got the nod, majority decision. One judge had it a draw, other two had it for Mayorga, right? Majority decision. So yeah, Mayorga got the majority. So he took a few years off. Okay. So let's talk about his comeback. And when he came back, he was at junior middleweight comeback trail. Because when he fought Mayorga was at welterweight, right? So he took a few years off and went up a division to 154, junior middleweight. Now Forrest took 2 years off from fighting because of injuries. He had complete reconstructive surgery on his left arm. And he also had three other surgeries, 2 on his shoulder to repair a torn rotator cuff, and 1 on his left elbow to repair torn cartilage and nerve damages. Yeah, sometimes you had that torn cartilage. Your stuff never gets right. I had that in my knee. I had 2 surgeries on my knee, and man, I was just limping around today. And this happened back in the 80s. You know, you had that torn cartilage, man. That never gets right. You know, that never gets right. So he had 3 surgeries, had torn cartilage in his elbow and nerve damage. That was the third one. Now, in his first fight, since losing twice to Ricardo Mayorga, Forrest knocked out Sergio Rios in 2 rounds. Okay. And after the fight against Rios, he stopped Elko Garcia in the 10th round. And he won a controversial 10-round unanimous decision over Ike Corte on August 5th, 2006 at the Garden, Madison Square Garden Theater in New York City. Now, the judges at ringside scored the fight 95-94, 95-94, and 96-93, all for Forrest, but a lot of people felt that Ike Corte had pulled it out. Now, he did get a championship at junior middleweight. Let's talk about that. Junior middleweight champion. Okay? Because he went through 3 divisions. He started at junior welterweight, then he went to welterweight. He didn't win a title at junior welterweight, but he was a champion at welterweight and junior middleweight. Okay? So, WBC junior middleweight champion. On July 28th, 2007, Forrest won a unanimous decision against Carlos Baldomir in Tacoma, Washington. Yeah, there's him at Carlos right there in Tacoma, Washington. Frequently firing off heavy right blows at Baldomir. After 12 rounds, Forrest won a lopsided 118-109, 116-111, 118-109 decision to take the vacant WBC junior middleweight title. Wow. Two judges almost had a shutout. I think they gave Baldomir one round. Wow. Now, on December 1st, 2007, at Foxwoods Resort Casino up there in Connecticut, used to be a big-time boxing venue back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Floyd fought there, Roy Jones fought there. When I did boxing in the state of Connecticut, I talked about that, remember? On December 1st, 2007, at Foxwoods Resort Casino, Vernon successfully defended his junior middleweight title against Italian Michele Picciarello. Picciarello. Wow. Just because I butchered his name, so I'm going to put it in there. Picciarello. Not Picciarello. P-I-C-C-I-R-I-L-L-O. Wait a minute. P-I-C-C-I. Why didn't I just keep on? Bear with me for a minute. I didn't butchered the man's name now and spelled it wrong, and it's right on the paper in front of me. P-I-C-C-I-R-I-L-L-O. Picciarello, right, T-Hill? Picciarello. T-Hill will tell me later when I drop the link. Okay. Yeah, but he beat Picciarello, scoring an 11th round TKO. So now let's talk about him versus Sergio Mora. He had a couple fights with Sergio. Okay. I think he had 2 fights with Sergio. But Forrest versus Mora, Sergio Mora. On June 7th, 2008, Forrest lost his title to the contender winner, Sergio Mora, by a 12-round majority decision. In the build-up to the fight, Forrest referred to Mora, since Mora won the contender, Forrest started calling him the pretender, the pretender, and threatened to send him out on a stretcher. However, Mora succeeded in pulling off the upset victory. The final scores were, one judge had it 114-114, the other two had it 115-113, 116-112, both for Mora. Majority decision. Okay. Yeah, he did fight Sergio twice. Okay, reclaiming the title for Vernon. There's him and Sergio again. Excuse me. Now, Forrest reclaimed his WBC 154-pound title on September 14th, 2008, against the rematch against Sergio Mora by unanimous decision. This time, the judges had it 118. He smoked Sergio. 118-109, 117-110, and 119-110. All for Vernon, right? Two judges gave Sergio, almost had it a shutout. Sergio got one round. Okay, so then we're gonna get ready to close it out now. And he did some charity work in his career. We're gonna talk about his killing, his murder in a minute. Charity work, though. Now, Forrest was involved directly with the creation of the not-for-profit Destiny's Child, a group home that assists people with developmental, emotional, and psychological disabilities and needs. Forrest was also involved directly with helping the clients by organizing Destiny Child's activities. Let's talk about his murder. What happened that day down there in Georgia when Vernon got killed. Okay. Now, anybody come in? No. Oh, Crush been in here. Okay. Murder. This is what happened. At about 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on July 25th, 2009, Forrest stopped at a gas station in the Atlanta neighborhood of Mechanicsville, right? With him was his 11-year-old godson. Now, as his godson went inside the gas station, Forrest went to the back of his car to add air to a tire. Now, as this occurred, a man walked up and robbed him at gunpoint, and then the man fled. Now, Vernon Forrest, who was also armed, went after the man. This man made a mistake. Should have just let the man go. You know, I think he got robbed of some money and some jewelry. Those are material things, but your life is not a material thing. You can get those money and jewelry back, but once you lose your life, that's it. You can't get that back. But anyway, Vernon was also armed, and he went after the man, and shots were exchanged, right? Now, after the shots were exchanged, Forrest gave up the chase, right? And then he was getting ready to come back to the gas station, but then he saw a second man and started talking to this man. He didn't know this man was with the robber. And it was this man that shot Vernon, right? In the back. He had 7 to 8 times. He had started to walk away from the man back to the station. And the man, for some reason, shot him in the back 7 to 8 times, right? Now, according to police, the shooter and a second person left the scene in a red Pontiac. And Forrest died at the scene. And the death was ruled a homicide, right? The Atlanta police, there were 3 arrests made. Atlanta police would later arrest and charge 25-year-old Jaquante Cruz, 20-year-old Emerio Ware, and 30-year-old Charmaine Sinkfield for his murder. It is believed that the 30-year-old guy Sinkfield was the shooter, the one that Vernon started talking to after the first guy got away, right? And the 20-year-old guy, Ware, was the original guy that came up to him and robbed him. And the 25-year-old guy, Cruz, was the one driving the car. Now, Cruz and Ware serving life sentence in the Georgia Department of Corrections, where they belong at. On October 28, 2016, the actual guy that did the shooting, Charmaine Sinkfield, was sentenced to life without parole. So if he's still alive, he's still in prison where he belongs at. And he's gonna come out in a bag, a body bag, like he should, okay? Because you should not take what you can't give. And you can't give a life, so don't take one, okay? And there you have it, the life and career of the Viper, Vernon Forrest. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Okay, now we got a little time before link time. I got some fighters and their signature punches. Excuse me for a minute. Let me turn this other light on over here. I'm blind in one eye and can't see out the other. I need all the light I can get. I'm going over to Miss Cash side of the room and turn her lamp on. I already got mine. As long as I don't knock it down and break it. Okay. I already broke one lamp. Lucky I'm still a resident here after I broke that other lamp. I'm on my last chance. Okay, yeah, I got 20 of the most dangerous punches in boxing history. Okay. How's everybody today? It's Friday. We got the big women's fight. All week long I was talking about what's happening this weekend. None of y'all told me Savannah Marshall and Shadeja Green, man. All y'all big boxing fans knew that, but nobody told me. Not even T. Hill, man. It's Shadeja Green and Savannah Marshall. Okay? So let's do this. Then we're going to get to the link time. 20 of the most dangerous punches in boxing history. Got some boxers and their signature punch. Burning up in here. Okay, let me take a drink of my cooler. I knew that was loud, but that went down good. Okay, now. Now, the most dangerous punches in boxing history often create unforgettable memories. Who will ever forget Mike Tyson's devastating uppercut, or Joe Frazier's lethal left hook, or Rocky Marciano's overpowering right hand? Suzy Q, right? Who will ever forget Suzy Q? Much like Muhammad Ali's snapping jab, such dangerous punches can sap an opponent's will, right? Yeah, such dangerous punches can sap an opponent's will, hurt him mentally just as much as physically. You know, Joe Frazier catch you with a left hook, or Rocky catch you with Suzy Q. Now, deciding whose punch is the most devastating in history involves mostly subjective debate and not based on a lot of facts. Now, while heavyweights often have the advantage when judging punching power, there are some lighter weight fighters on this list who had reputation for turning out the lights on their opponents. Yeah, there's some little guys on here that, smaller guys, like the hitman, Thomas Hearn. Pound for pound, he's one of the top power guys in boxing history. The hitman, Thomas Hearn. And he was a light-hitting boxer one time. Emmanuel Stewart turned him into that monster he turned into. And speaking of Emmanuel Stewart, Monday we got the Four Kings fight. We're going to look at all 9 Four Kings fights. We're going to look up the build-up to the fight, actual fight, and then the aftermath. All 9 of them. Okay, with 9 Four Kings fights. And the first one in the series was Sugar Ray Roberto the Red in 1980. And the final one in the series was Sugar Ray Roberto the Red in 1989. And then 7 legendary fights in between. And we're going to talk about that Monday. Don't miss it. Okay? But now, talk about some fighters and their signature punches. I had to go back and see what I'm doing. The signature punch. How about George Foreman and that short right hand? Okay. George Foreman's short right. Yeah, George. Is that George Foreman? Yeah. George Foreman and that short right hand. Now, George Foreman was a dominant force in the ring. He set the boxing world on its ear when he overpowered Joe Frazier in their heavyweight championship fight in 1973. Foreman knocked Frazier down 3 times in both the first and second rounds. Now, in those days, there was nothing friendly about George Foreman. That personality came much later, years later, in his second career. Yeah, he wasn't no friendly, smiley guy back then. And George had a series of devastating punches, but his short right hand could be thrown in an instant and turn the lights out on anyone who was hit squarely by it. Like I was saying earlier, you're talking about fighters and signature punches. This is one of the first ones you think about. Now, how did that get up? Who is that? That's Tyson. But Joe Frazier's left hook is one of the first ones you think about, right? Joe Frazier and that legendary left hook. Now, Joe Frazier was one of the most devastating punchers in boxing history. He is widely recognized as one of the sport's all-time great heavyweights, thanks in large part to his heart, courage, and explosive power. Now, Frazier was best known for his dominating left hook. His strength was born from work on the farm as a youngster. Now, when he threw his left hook, he unleashed all of it in a devastating moment. When Frazier fought Muhammad Ali in their 1971 fight at Madison Square Garden, his 15-round left hook sent Ali to the canvas and was the punch that clinched the fight in Frazier's favor. That same left hook was responsible for the majority of the 27 knockouts that Frazier recorded in his career. Because, Frazier only had 32 fights because that Swarmer style cuts your career short, Swarmers don't have long careers. Like Rocky only fought 8 years, okay? Yeah, that style takes a toll on you, okay? Now, Nate's talking about signature punches. Probably the hardest puncher in boxing history. Ernie Shavers. Overhand right. The Ernie Shavers overhand right. When Ernie caught somebody with an overhand right, usually they didn't survive it. Now, Ernie Shavers never won the heavyweight championship, right? He lost a unanimous decision to Muhammad Ali in 1977. And the second time he fought, he was TKO'd by Larry Holmes in 1979. Okay? But don't think for a second that Shavers was not one of the sport's most devastating punchers. He recorded 68 of his 74 wins by knockout, and his overhand right was responsible for many of the stoppages. And that's the 91.8% knockout rate. Y'all know I had the knockout rate, 91.8%. Now, Shavers went into his fights confident that he could knock out any opponent in devastating fashion. And his 1973 first-round knockout of former champion Jimmy Ellis demonstrated the overwhelming power of Shavers' right hand, right? Yeah, he destroyed Jimmy Ellis. Joe Louis, straight right. The Brown Bomber, straight right hand. Now, Joe Louis is often acknowledged to be the greatest heavyweight champion of all time and the best finisher in history. When Joe got you in trouble, that was it. Nobody survived. When it comes to spectacular performances, few can top Joe's first-round knockout victory over Max Smelling in 1938. In that fight, Louis ripped a series of powerful punches. Most of them were devastating right hands, and Smelling could be heard screaming in pain as a result. And the fight lasted 2 minutes into the first round. That was it. And Smelling spent 2 months in the hospital. Okay? Now, Louis had many skills in the ring, and his combination punches probably made him the greatest heavyweight of all time. One of them, anyway. But his straight right hand was a dominating factor during his run as heavyweight champion from 1937 through 1949. The Brown Bomber. Okay? Nate. Rocky Marciano. Any kind of punch from his right hand. Okay? I ain't gonna say no right hook or right uppercut or straight right. Any punch with Suzy-Q, which was the name of his right hand. Okay? But particularly the right hook. Particularly his right hook. That's what he got Jersey Joe with. You know, Jersey Joe was out for like 5 minutes. Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano was a powerful puncher who dominated the heavyweight division in the early and mid-1950s. The Marciano had a 49-0 record with 43 of the wins coming by knockout, right? 87.7% knockout ratio. The Marciano could rip powerful punches with ease of hand. He had the ability to stop his opponent at any point in a fight. Nobody knew this better than Jersey Joe Walcott, who Marciano stopped in the 13th round in the first fight and first round in the second fight. And Jersey Joe was leading on all 3 cards in the 13th round. And Rocky had that kind of power that could change a fight in a moment's notice. Just ask Jersey Joe Walcott. Okay? Because Jersey Joe was winning after 13 rounds, but unfortunately the fight was 15 rounds. And Suzy-Q got home in round 13. And like I said, Jersey Joe was asleep for 5 minutes. And Marciano would launch himself into his opponent, and his right hook would usually turn the lights out when he landed it cleanly on his opponent's chin. Okay? The Hitman is next. The Hitman's right hook, Thomas Hearn's right hook, or really any right hand from the Hitman. Now, Thomas Hearns was a brilliant fighter who competed in many different weight classes. He fought at weights ranging from 144 to 191 pounds. Those were catch weight, 144, 191. But he fought at every weight class in between those two weights. You know, welterweight, junior middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, all the way up, and won titles at all of them. Okay? Now, Hearns was probably at his best as a welterweight. Now, his most well-known fights were his losses. course, to Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. But he generated incredible torque and power from his punches. His right hand was particularly vicious. He registered remarkable second-round victories over Pepino Cuevas and Roberto Duran. Yeah. That cemented his status as one of the hardest non-heavyweight punchers of all time. Yeah, that hurts, man. Roberto went down face first, sleep all the way down. Anybody ever saw that? Hearns knocking of Roberto? He hit Roberto. Roberto went to sleep and was snoring all the way down to the mat, face first. Man. That was bad. I don't know what was worse, the No Moss fight or that one. But Roberto, there's nothing you could do with Hearns, man, because Hearns had like a 6-inch height advantage and like an 8-inch reach advantage. And, Roberto, he couldn't beat Hearns from the outside because Hearns could touch him, but Roberto couldn't touch Hearns. He had to get in, and Hearns had that all-time jab and then that all-time right hand if Roberto got past the jab. And Hearns set him up when he got him out of there. He let him slip past the jab and had that right hand waiting on him. And man, that was bad. But Mike Tyson, that was bad, man. Mike Tyson, that was bad. Roberto went down first face, sleep all the way down. Mike Tyson, right uppercut. Now, Mike Tyson was among the most intimidating heavyweight fighters of all time. Now, while Tyson had quickness and skill in the ring, his ability to take an opponent out with one punch or a series of punches left many quaking in their boxing shoes before the bell even rang for round one to begin. Now, Tyson could do it with any number of punches, including an overhand right and straight right. When he landed his right uppercut, his opponents would often go down like a redwood tree in the forest. Tyson had a 50-6 career record. 44 of his victories came by the knockout route, for an 88% knockout ratio for Iron Mike Tyson. William Old School Arndt in the building. What's up, William Old School Arndt? Exactly how you spell it, too. Old School says, he just saluted. What's up, Old School? Good to see you today. We are talking about some fighters and their signature punches, Old School. Just got finished talking about Mike Tyson's right something. What was it? Right hook. Right uppercut for Tyson. Yeah. But any variation of the right hand for Tyson. Next is Bob Foster. Bob Foster, left hook. What time is it? Okay, yeah, we're going to get some link time. Bob Foster, left hook. Okay? Bob Foster, left hook. Now, Bob Foster was a rather thin looking light heavyweight champion who dominated his division from the late 1960s to the mid 1970s. He had like a 12-year run. Now, Foster won 56 fights in his career, including 46 by knockout. That's 82.1% knockout rate. Yeah, I did them before the show today. Usually I'm reaching for the calculator, figuring them out now, but I did them first. 82.1% for Bob Foster. Now, he generated tremendous power with his left hook by the speed and torque he put on the punch. He had the ability to string punches together and finish his opponents with the left hook. Now, he first earned his title with a brutal 1968 TKO of champion, the Great Dick Tiger, in the fourth round. Now, it was old Dick Tiger. It wasn't the Dick Tiger from the 50s. The Dick Tiger was one of those great middleweights I'm always harping about from the 50s. He had moved up to light heavyweight when Bob Foster stopped him and knocked him out. But Bob Foster would have never did that to 1950s Dick Tiger. But hey, Dick Tiger still got in there, so he got what he got. He got knocked out in the fourth round. But that wasn't the Dick Tiger, not the great 1950s middleweight. Okay, next is Sonny Liston. Bob Foster would have never did that to 1950s Dick Tiger. No way. Sonny Liston. Straight right hand from the Big Bear. Straight right. Okay? Now, Sonny Liston was one of the most intimidating heavyweight punchers of all time. Now, Sonny was known for his baleful stare at the pre-fight meeting, in the middle of the ring, when the referee gave him the final instructions. That caused many opponents to question their decision to fight him in the first place. He was also one of the most ducked fighters in history. He won the heavyweight championship with a terrific first-round knockout over Floyd Patterson in 1962, and he repeated his first-round knockout against Floyd Patterson in 1963, almost carbon copies of each other. The second fight, he knocked Floyd Patterson out just 4 seconds after he knocked him out in the first fight. You can just watch one of them and you'd have seen both fights. Anybody ever seen them two? Yeah, just 4 seconds differential. Now, Liston's straight right hand punch was as vicious a punch as Mike Tyson's uppercut. And a couple more. Then we're going to do the link. Julian Jackson makes the list. Yep, Julian Jackson. Now, right hook, Julian's right hook. Now, Julian Jackson was one of the most powerful middleweight punchers in boxing during his career. Jackson was 55-6 while fighting in the 1980s and 90s, knocking out 49 of his opponents. Okay? Where is it? Okay, I didn't do Julian. I'm sorry. 55-6 knocked out 49 opponents. That's the knockout ratio of 89%. Not bad. Not bad at all. Wow. 55 wins, 49 knockouts. Okay. So, and the Hawk was known for his quick, clean, and brutal punching. His 4th round knockout of Wayne Powell in 1990 demonstrated his overwhelming and often shocking power. Jackson appeared to be off balance as he threw the quick right, but Powell went down as if he had been shot. Okay? Gotta have Sugar Ray Robinson. Left jab. Sugar Ray's left jab. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson is often considered the best pound-for-pound boxer in the history of boxing. Now, he may have looked dapper and gentlemanly outside the ring, but inside, he had nearly perfect punching technique that would occasionally result in impressive knockouts. Sugar Ray is in the 100 knockout club, 109, for all his other talents. He would pivot perfectly on the balls of his feet and deliver precise power punches. His 5th round knockout of Gene Foreman in 1957 was one of the most skillful punches ever delivered in the ring, and it's called the perfect punch. Foreman later said he never saw the punch coming. One moment he was fighting, and the next he was being led to his corner. And Foreman said when he woke up, he saw Sugar Ray in the neutral corner over there. He said he thought Sugar Ray was just waiting in between rounds to come back out. He didn't even know he had been knocked out. He thought they was just getting ready to come back out for the next round when he woke up. Okay, next is the Hands of Stone. Roberto Duran, one of the greatest ever. Roberto Duran, short right hand. Now, few fighters ever had Roberto Duran's finishing ability. His hands of stone meant he could knock out an opponent from any angle, but his short right seemed to do the most damage. Duran was a mean, angry man in the ring. Remember, when Joe Frazier was asked who Duran reminded him of, Joe Frazier said Charles Manson. They do kind of look alike, too. Yeah. Got them short, beady black eyes. Yeah. Roberto Duran do favor Charles Manson when you think about it. Now, when Duran sensed he had hurt a challenger, he piled on the punches. More often than not, it was the short right that provided the finishing shot. Roberto Duran. He's got two more. The Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao makes the list. That straight left hand. And Manny had that jab, remember? But that got him in trouble against Marquez. Remember, he did that jab, and Marquez ducked over that second jab and with that overhand right over the top. Boom. And Manny went down and out. But Marquez had killed him for a minute there. I was like, oh no, OMG. Now, Manny Pacquiao's last fight against Juan Manuel Marquez resulted in him suffering a devastating knockout. But throughout his career, Pac-Man has delivered his share of impressive knockouts. Now, while he does not appear to have overwhelming strength, his balance and quickness and speed have allowed him to throw devastating combinations that result in knockouts. Now, Pacquiao's power left hand has made him one of the most impressive fighters of the last 20 years. Okay, and finally, no, it's not the last one. Damn. Okay, what time is it? Oh, yeah, we still got plenty of time. Okay, Lennox Lewis. No, Archie Moore, straight right hand. We're going to cut it off at least 20 minutes of lead time. Archie Moore. Archie had a nice straight right. Let's see where we at. We got Archie Moore. Okay. Archie Moore, straight right hand. Now, few fighters have been able to match Archie Moore's longevity or skill in the ring. Moore had all the punches a fighter could throw, but his ability to keep his opponents off balance and then throw a hard right hand punch made him a knockout threat every time he stepped in the ring. And you know, Archie Moore is number 2 all time in knockouts with 132. Somebody had 136. I'm gonna look him up eventually. Now, Moore knocked down Rocky Marciano before, but the fact that he could topple the Rock demonstrated how dangerous he was. And Moore finished his long career with a record of 185 wins, 23 losses, 10 draws, and 132 of his wins came by knockout. See what that is. 132 knockouts, 185 wins. That's like, gotta be 70 something. 71.3. That ain't bad. With over 200 fights, it's still got a 70% knockout rate. That ain't bad at all, man. Okay, I'm gonna put the link in. I'm gonna tell somebody, I'm gonna keep going. Lennox Lewis is next, so let me put the link in. We're gonna get 30 minutes, and I mean 4 o'clock. I'm going. It'll probably be damn near 5 once we get up here and start chopping it up. No, okay. Yeah, Savannah Marshall and Shadeja is tomorrow. I forgot all about that all week when I was trying to figure out who was fighting. Wow. Yeah. Savannah Marshall and Shadeja Green. I got Savannah. I'm pulling for Shadeja, but my heart says Shadeja, but my brain say Savannah, right? But we'll see. That's the good part about it. We're gonna see because it's tomorrow, right? Or is it tonight? I think it's tomorrow. But it's this weekend. I didn't know till I was in Jay Hardcore's show this morning, right? Yep. I did not know that fight was tomorrow, this weekend. Nobody told me all week when I was talking about fights. Nobody left me in the dark. You know, take advantage of the old guy. Let me get this link in here. Okay. Is there anybody got a big weekend plan? What is that on? The Zone, right? Savannah Marshall and Katie Taylor. No, not Katie Taylor. Savannah Marshall. The Zone, right? I think. Yeah, that's the Zone. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Don't forget, we got a big show coming up Monday. The Four Kings fight. We're going to look at all 9 of them. The lead up to the fights, the actual fight, and then the aftermath. What's up, Pearl? Oh, Pearl, let me get you linked up. Get you in blue. I just thought about the last time after the last show. I said, damn, Pearl should be a moderator. And now you are. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Pearl, sir, is now a standard moderator on Catsport. But salute, Pearl. Good to see you today, bro. Old School says Savannah fight for Frank Warren. Yeah. Ain't that still the Zone, Old School? I think Frank Warren fight is right on the Zone, I think. Okay, there's somebody. Let me get, come on, man. I gotta get this straight here. Man. Okay, here we go. I'm a low technology guy. There we go. What's up, Old School?
What's up?
Yeah. Don't Savannah fight on Frank Warren, people fight on the Zone, right?
I think so. I know. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure she fights for Frank Warren and not Eddie.
Yeah. Frank, okay. Yeah. Who you got in that one?
Oh, I would like Green to win.
Yeah, me too.
But you got to face it, dude. Savannah can box her ass off.
I know. I'm picking Savannah. Yeah.
She's the only one that really had a chance against Clarissa.
Yeah. And she did a good job.
That says a lot.
Yeah, she is very talented, man.
Yeah, she is. She can box her freaking ass off, and she's got power.
Yeah. She beat Franchon, remember?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm picking her tomorrow.
And Franchon beat Green, right?
I know. Yep. Sure did. Yeah.
So, like I said, I would love to pick Green, but my brain, my heart tells me Green, my brain's telling me freaking Marshall.
Exactly the same way with me, man. Yeah. Where is that at? Over there in England, right? London?
I guess so. I'm not, dude. I've been working all week. The only reason I'm off today, I got off early. I had to go to the doctor. I got a freaking strep throat.
Oh, that's painful, man. I had that.
Oh, dude, it's got my whole gland all swollen and shit.
You got to drink nice, cool juices and stuff, man.
I was just eating one of them push-up freezy pops.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah, that'll make it feel a little better. But the only thing that
it's a damn kid's disease. How the hell this old man catch that shit?
Yeah, I was young, but like in my 20s when I had it, I was just laid out, couldn't do nothing, man. Shit,
I told my daughter, I called her when I found out what it was. I said, didn't any of your damn kids have freaking strep throat?
Yeah.
She's like, no, Dad. I said, well, how the hell I got it? And she started laughing at me.
Man, I was in so much pain, I called the ambulance.
Dude, it's got my whole throat all fucked up.
Man, I know. I feel for you. I had that shit, man. Damn.
Now I was running a little bit of fever this morning. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me, man? Don't tell me I got some goddamn COVID or crap.
Oh, man. I hope not.
No, I don't have that. They did all. They said I got a damn strep throat.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah. Yeah, man. And then we got Josh Taylor back in there this weekend, man.
He's going to get his ass kicked. I don't care who he's fighting. He is washed.
I thought he had retired after the
he should retire. Let's face it, dude. Yeah. He can't move up to 147. He waited too long. Now he's punch drunk.
He's done. 147. No way. I can't think of anybody he could beat up there.
No,
No.
I don't know anybody.
No,
Dude,
no.
I don't know anybody who can beat a 140 right now.
That's true. That's true too, old school. Yeah.
The way he looked against Tio just mopped the floor with him. And then everybody joined to praise Tio afterwards. I was like, how the hell are you going to praise Tio for beating up a washed up fighter? And then halfway through the fight, Tio finally figured out that Josh wasn't fighting back. And that's when Tio turned it up.
Yeah, I know. Josh talked all that trash in the pre-fight and came out there and did that, man.
Watch the first 2 rounds. First 2 to 3 rounds of the Tio and Josh Taylor fight. You could watch Tio go from very, how do I put this? He had no confidence at all in the beginning of that fight. Then you could see when he realized that Taylor's washed, that's when you can see Tio start to turn it up.
Right. Yeah. What's up, Thomas here? Yeah, I hear you, old school.
Hey, it's my Mickey Freaky brother. What up?
What good with you, old school?
What is happening? The mayor of YouTube.
We need your pick for Savannah Marshall and Shadeja Green, T here.
Out of the two? Shadeja Green.
Pick. Huh?
Shadeja Green?
Oh, you picking Shadeja? Okay.
Yeah, I picked Shadeja. I think Marshall the more polished boxer, but I think that fight with what's her name? Franchon woke her up. Recognized that you gotta take this stuff serious, and there's a such thing as professionalism. She got out-pro'd that fight. I don't necessarily say she was out-skilled, but she used her pro status on her, and I think she's gonna learn from that.
Okay.
I hope you're right.
I hope so too, but I mean, Savannah Marshall, a hell of a fighter, bro. She's crafty.
That is a rough out for anybody. That girl, like I was telling Cass, she's the only one that had a damn chance against Clarissa Shields, and she fought the hell out of Clarissa Shields.
I disagree with that statement.
Who else you got to beat?
I think Hannah Gabriel.
Huh?
I thought Hannah Gabriel's as well. I thought her and Hannah Gabriel.
She did pretty good too. I'll give you that.
I think Franchon has a decent chance, but I don't think she could beat her. But I think Savannah could beat her, and I think Hannah Gabriel's could beat her. I honestly think that what's her name? If she put her stuff together, can beat her. But the thing is, like, experience. I fully believe Shadeja Green. I think that it's just that your girl is so dang polished. Like, she polished. That's one thing.
Savannah?
No. Clarissa is polished. And you're gonna like see for Savannah is like crafty, wild.
Yeah.
So that craft and that wild can overcome some of that polish. Sean just roughhouse. She got what it takes to go in and bang with her. Yeah. So if you can get her.
Franchon's a brawler, dude. She's got a lot of experience and she can brawl her ass off.
So that's how she can get. That's how she can get a Clarissa, by turning it into a brawl, so to speak. Because Clarissa is one to prove her mettle, so she'll engage in the brawl.
Right.
So she has a chance. I think Savannah got the clearest chance.
Yeah.
I think Shadeja, if she had some kind of polish to her game, would have the best chance. And I love me some Hannah Gabriels. I think Hannah Gabriels, if she still got it, I thought she won the first fight. Honestly thought she won the first fight. So
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that first fight.
It was a good fight. I kind of slightly edged it to her, but Clarissa did show that she's skilled. Like, Clarissa's skills is better than any of the women currently right now. With the exception of maybe Alicia Baumgartner. But Baumgartner just ain't got enough pop behind her punch to affect her. She's not big enough.
Yeah.
She can never fight her. I mean, I don't even know why she's calling her out. She can never fight her. That's too big of a woman. But she got skill. I think also
the women that I think got the most skill, that one girl, she gonna be fighting pretty soon this week, if not next week. Ferreira, Beatrice Ferreira, she got skill. I like Caroline Dubois. I think Caroline Dubois really is that one. Alicia Baumgartner, Savannah Marshall. I love me some
Fundora, but she in the smaller weight class.
Oh, Gabby is amazingly talented. She's talented. I love that. What's that one sister name that fought Katie Taylor and won both times, but they gave her the second fight?
Amanda?
Well, Amanda. I think Amanda won all the fights.
I can't
think I was talking about the one who actually won one, and then the second time they gave it to her, even though she won.
I know who you're talking about, and I can't think of the name.
Oh no,
Harper, right? Harper, is it Harper?
I don't know. I can't.
It might be
Harper. Well, whoever she lost to the first time and then came back and they gave her the fight, I like her. This one girl, man, take this name down. Elizabeth Ashobo. She is Hitman Hearns in a female package.
How you spell Ashobo?
Yo.
Hey, Puro. Puro. Yeah.
Who you got on? Chantel Cameron. That's what you're looking for.
Chantel Cameron. Yeah. There you go. Chantel Cameron.
Yes, sir.
Oh, go ahead. Who you had on Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall? Fight your pick.
I'm not a big women's boxing fan of this era.
Okay.
Me personally, just my point of view, I don't think they teach them how to box properly. Like, I don't think Clarissa's the best. To me, the best women that I've seen is Serrano and Baumgartner. To me, they're far and beyond the better boxers out of the whole bunch. I actually think Baumgartner could beat what's her name? Clarissa Shields. The height disparity is not too much. You just gotta she would have to get acclimated to that weight. But I think her skills are far superior. My humble opinion. But I just don't watch women boxing.
Baumgartner would have to put on weight, and I think she slows down and loses a little bit when she puts the weight on.
I agree. I think she's a better. I don't know about a better boxer. I think she's an accomplished boxer, but that's about 25 to 30 pounds she would have to put on. You think she could put on that?
That's too much.
That's the way I see it,
Yeah.
She's a little bitty girl, man. Putting that kind of weight on, I don't know. That would hurt her more than help her.
She's only like an inch shorter than Clarissa. I mean,
but look at her bone density, though.
She's a petite little thing.
You got big bones, bro.
I'm a bit. I wouldn't say I'm a small dude.
Nah. Yeah. What about your sister? Do you got like any female family members?
Yeah,
you got
I don't got no brothers. I got three sisters. One of them is
your three sisters
like mine, and the other ones are very petite.
So you see how the difference in the bone density between the petite one and then the one that's kind of like bovine, as you said, or whatever. What did you say?
What happened?
I think the same thing with Clarissa. I think Clarissa just a bigger boned woman.
Yeah, but she can't punch. She can't swat a fly. I on the other hand think Alyssa's got a bit of power behind her.
You think Clarissa got power behind her?
No.
No.
I don't know. It would be interesting, man, but I don't think she can get that weight. If she could get that weight, I would love to see it. But I don't think
for sure. In her defense, like what woman really has power like that? You look at all the records; they got like 2-3 knockouts. That's most women.
No.
Okay, so for women, I think the women with power: Caroline Dubois and Amanda Serrano.
Savannah got a little power too.
Yeah, the Argentinian fighters, they got power just like the men, bro.
I think, no doubt. I think that Savannah, what's really powerful about her is her craft, man. She used that shoulder and that elbow or something big. No, I'm being real with you.
It's so sloppy. That's what I can't dig. But the women, a lot of them are just sloppy, bro.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that's not a knock to them. I mean, I welcome them, to if that's what they love to do, that's what they love to do. It's just like, I believe it's the teaching.
But I mean, I could respect the fact that I love me some good scraps, man. To me, they're getting better though. I think that the way that I think the way that they're fighting especially some of them, they're putting punches together. They're looking They're looking real good, man. And you know, they're getting equal footing almost in the ring, man. They don't get the same respect as the men get, so they don't get treated the same way. And then a lot of them who's getting trained, you know, unfortunately, in order for you to get quality training, you got to give them a little bit of quality time, and that's kind of cold as well too.
I don't know about all that, bro.
Hey, I had somebody get on the podcast, man. Shout out to my good sister Ashley's Corner, man. Go check her out. She did a podcast with a boxer who was like on a circuit. She was in the Olympics and everything. And she told us pretty much though, back in the days when it was coming up, oh, it was rough on the girl. It was real rough on the girl, man.
I don't think you're lying, because I remember there's this one chick that I remember she got into some issues with Uncle Raj, and there was a whole big thing like that, you know. But that's unfortunate, you know. Hopefully that's not hopefully that's not the case still to this day.
Nah. Yeah.
I'm not saying to this day. I'm saying they're finally getting the respect, but before, like back in not too long ago, they was having to do favors to get favors, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I mean I get like that, you know, like I don't know nothing about nothing, but I mean like it happens like you know anything where women are involved, you know, like you hear those scandals with the Me Too and shit, like that shit's real, you know.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question for y'all.
That's true.
The Devin Haney.
Wait, Will. Before you ask your question, I want to say that I don't disagree with you. I do believe Clarissa gives a lot of people trouble. I do believe that Hannah Gabriels is one who can give her some trouble. I think not just Savannah.
Okay. What was the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the Devin Haney hit list a clout chase or is it for real?
He won't fight 90% of the people on that list, man.
But he ain't gonna fight none of them. Let's be honest.
My humble opinion. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
In my humble opinion, I like Devin. Like you know, like until his last fight, like you know, he was actually one of the fighters that I did like to see him fight. But anything that I hear coming out of social media when it comes to Devin Haney, to me, is all a clout chase.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
What about you, Thomas?
I agree with that.
What about you, Thomas Hill?
What's that?
Is the Devin Haney hit list a clout chase or is it real?
So the clout chase. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a clout chase because I think one of those names they really are iron. The other ones is just to like, you know how you get you got that secret Santa. And you got a special limit that you can only go by, but you got somebody that you really want to impress, but you can't go past the thing. So you decorate it the best that you can. You put the best bow on that bad boy, the best card on there, the best pack. I think that's what that is. I think there's one name on there that they really are trying to fight. I think the rest of them are just dressing.
That's what I said. 90% is BS.
So I think that in all actuality, it's one name, maybe two, that they definitely would like to fight. But they're not really sure of the fights right now because they're not sure if they're standing in the ring right now. And that's what I saw in the ring. I saw him not too confident with what he possibly can do in that ring. And that's why he did what he fought the way he fought. Yeah. Now, that being the case, man, he also was off for a while. So, you know, that aids to some of the nerves. And then he was ran through the mud. I'm going to say forever. I know people who really didn't have the best experience in high school because people made fun of them. So you can only believe that, when you're trying to build your brand and somebody is constantly poking at your brand, that affects you as well too. That being the case, there's no boots action that he's gonna get. The other, I mean, T.O., I think that's a name that would be somebody he believes he can get. I believe Barrios might be a name because there is the link with Tank, and it's always a chance to one-up Tank. That's what Ryan was. Ryan was a one-up on Tank. I'm going to show you that I could beat this dude bad for 12 rounds. He wasn't going to knock him out, but for 12 rounds, I'm going to beat him bad. I'm going to show you how not a good fighter he is.
I don't know if he can beat
to me, for me, the best fight for Haney is going to be T.O. because if he runs in the T.O. fight, T.O. ain't got no confidence either. But if he runs in that T.O. fight, he's done, bro. If he does one more of what he did this last time, bro, he is done. Ain't a promoter will touch him because nobody's going to put money and lose.
They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't.
That type of performance.
Also, I was gonna say, like, to preface my clout the clout statement that I made, I totally believe that, but I also believe he would fight anybody. I don't believe he's scared of anybody. Also believe like the clout that we're talking about is what boxers have done since the inception of the sport. Promotion. That's just the way they're choosing to try to build their name.
Well, I thought the same thing all the way up until his last fight. But when I saw his eyes in this last fight, bro, Devin had fear in those eyes. His eyes bugged every time Jose got near him. That's fear. That's PTSD kind of shit.
Yeah. And I get where you're coming from. Like, I'm not too adept at reading anyone's eyes to see if it's fear in there. To me, I'm more inclined to believe Shane Mosley's opinion that they're trying to protect the bag for the upcoming fight. So he's already on that way.
Well, of course, Shane's going to say that. Shane had to help train him, so Shane's going to take up for his fighter.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to me, that's the only plausible explanation, because the way he fought, he's never fought. Like, I've been following Devin since he was a kid. He was never pegged as a boring fighter. Like, a lot of his criticisms is that he clinches a lot and stuff like that, but never a boring fighter. Like, him fighting in that style, to me, is still perplexing.
Well, bro, I've always given Devin his credit because he's always engaged in the fight. He's never ran. This is the first time I've actually seen Devin run with fear in his eyes.
I want to see one more from him, because that's coming right off the man.
Well, I mean, absolutely, you got to see some more from him, man, because you can't make a snap judgment off of one fight.
That's why I think Tio is the best fight for him. I think Tio is absolutely the best fight for him because Tio ain't got a bit of confidence in his damn self.
I disagree on that, but hey, let's see it.
You disagree with what? That you can't.
He has no confidence. No confidence. Because he didn't fight well either. But I want to chalk that to confidence. I mean, to be honest, like, this is my true opinion. It's kind of like a conspiracy because, like, we will never know. I think these guys were trying to rob Turkey, Al-Sheikh. I think they signed these fights and they fought in that manner because they didn't care about the fight in the first place, in my humble opinion.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, Devin's just looking for money at this point, dude. Let's just face it.
That was clear. I mean,
hey man, I ain't gonna lie to you, but I think they're all really looking for money. I think that's always been the case. I think that it gets blown up as legacy because you're trying to push a certain agenda that you can't match another fighter or your competition. So you paint it a certain way. But the bottom line, hell, Larry Holmes said it a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can't see my family.
That's still
So I want my bread. So yeah, every single one of them that say that legacy thing. I mean, of course you want to be known for not being afraid or taking down the biggest and best in your time. But unfortunately, like I say, it's the politics behind it too, and the verbiage that we get people out here using that also kind of conflate the true reasons why these fights ain't getting made, man. I agree with Porter. I don't think Devin is scared at all to get in the ring with somebody. What I do believe he's afraid of is the look, and he just went through the look. Look at how it had him. Like, I can't make a mistake, because if I make a mistake, guess what? I'm gonna be all up on this damn phone. When you also preface a look like that by saying the person that you're about to fight is an exhibition for somebody else, and really a C+ fight, and you may get made to look that way. It also it pours salt in the wound too. So, like, he was battling a whole lot of things in that ring, man. I don't hold that to him, man. I mean, he won the fight. The other dude didn't do anything to bring the fight to him.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And to the Larry Holmes quote, I mean, to me, that goes without saying. Like, the context I was saying is that, like, literally, like the Ryan fight. Like, Ryan didn't do anything to deserve that title shot, even though he blew weight. You get what I'm saying? That fight was made initially, in my humble opinion, strictly to make money. It wasn't for legacy. It wasn't for this. It was for that. It was to try to use Ryan Garcia to make some money, and it blew up in his face. The Jose Ramirez fight was actually very legitimate in my eyes, because Jose Ramirez, one of the top 140 pounders, he was him and Tio had the actual like valid fights there. Like Ryan versus Rolly, it was just another clown show which blew up in Ryan's face. So at the end of the day, bro, all this is a byproduct of decisions that they're making on who they're fighting. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I followed your logic. But I was just saying in general, because a lot of times people be like trying to throw, well, he only fight for money, or no, I rock with him because he fight for legacy. And I say this respectfully. And I ask anybody, if you're in the audience, if you're not commenting, but you're still listening, name me any of one of their contemporaries, because we know we always juxtapose them against one another. So Shakur, Tank, Devin, Tio, Ryan. Name me the legacy fights. Name me the fights you want to see, and name me the stiff competition that the other ones aren't fighting. You're gonna have to come up with Ryan having the toughest resume, then possibly Tio, then Devin, then Tank, then what's the name? Or Tank, then Devin, then Shakur. But it's going to be relatively close. None of them are really separating themselves, with the small exception of Ryan Garcia. I think he's fought the tougher competition. When you look at it from top to bottom, I think Tank has fought really good competition, but they ain't going to give it to him. I think that Devin has fought really good competition, but they're going to say, oh, his is better because he got Loma on there. They're going to say Tio fought competition, but he didn't look good against certain folks. But you know what I'm saying? They all fighting good stuff.
T-Hill.
You said what?
Loma's on T-Hills too. You know?
Look, bro, the problem,
for sure.
The problem with Tio started in the Kambosos fight. If Tio would have freaking took Kambosos seriously and trained his butt off instead of posing in front of the cameras and doing videos and everything else and wandering around trying to get on stage with Canelo with his belts, the whole 9 yards, if he would have took the fight seriously, Tio would have never had a loss of confidence. But Tio let the fucking belts go to his goddamn head, and he blew it.
Living my best life.
I mean, has he blown it? He's still the champion at 140.
Yeah, but dude, he hasn't been the same. Watch him in the Sandor Martin fight. He got clipped in that fight. And what does he say in the fight to his dad? Do I still have it?
I didn't buy
that
into much
a lack of confidence.
Because he still won the fight.
Doesn't matter.
I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. I get where you're
coming from.
But I got a question for you. A question for you. A very important question. What weight are these guys fighting?
Well,
like, how am I supposed to know the competition that he should be ready for if he's like literally Devin beat Regis for the title and now he left the division after one fight. So these guys need to make it clear what division they're fighting in.
Yeah.
Well,
let's be honest. Devin should stay at 140. I don't care. He needs to drop the weight because he don't have enough power for 147 at all.
Yo, but if he can't physically get to 140, I don't want to see him at 140.
That's the thing. Like what are their plans? Like we don't know. They put out a lot of bullshit that.
Dude, how many inches has Devin put on since 135, height wise?
Nothing.
I don't know. I think he's still about 5'9".
Right. My cousin. So why in the hell can't he make 140?
I don't think he was ever. I think. Will. I mean, he started off at 15, 16, 17?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he stayed at 135. He hit his peak height at 135. He was still making the weight at his peak height. And he moves up to 140. That should have been, if he'd have stayed on his bicycle, got his weight, kept his weight in check, instead of trying to put on muscle and all that crap, which did not work at all. All it did was blow him up.
Well, I ask you this. When you started high school, what grade was that?
Oh, God, I don't know.
For me,
what, 9?
Me, it was 9.
No, 10 for me. Back then, we didn't have 9 grade.
You started high school at 10th or 9th. Were you graduating the same weight you started? I know I started high school at 150 pounds. I graduated 175.
Yeah, I don't think my weight fluctuated, to be honest, but I'm a big dude.
Dude, I was like 6'1", and 140 pounds.
See, I was 157 when I started high school. I graduated 175. So like I put
I
on
didn't
weight.
weigh myself. I ain't gonna lie.
I know you didn't weigh yourself, but you know you was feeling your pants or or you could tell by your pants size and your shirt size. If you,
Yeah. No, I was always a
Yeah.
big dude, so I couldn't tell you, but it didn't really fluctuate. But I couldn't tell you how much I weighed. I know by the time I left high school, I was like at 180.
This man was at 35 for 7 years. You know he was there too long.
Yeah.
I
He
agree.
was a kid
I
when
think
he
he
went
should have
in.
moved up to 140 way before he did.
I
But
agree with that.
147 is not for him, dude. He's
And I think
not
that's why
big enough. He's
140
not
was only
strong
one
enough, and he
fight.
definitely don't have power enough.
Do you believe that? Because
might not have no choice. I don't think
we gotta see it first. We gotta see it. He still hasn't fought there.
All
so
right,
we gotta
then answer me. Who does he beat at 147? Because I don't see.
Nobody.
Maybe Brian Norman. That's it.
I
Yeah, I
could
was
be
saying
I
he
think
might
he could be
not-
Barrios. I think he could be
Can make
Barrios.
I think
140.
Mario wipes
Think he
the
can
floor
beat
with him.
Barrios? You say you think he can beat Barrios, Puro?
Yeah. I would say I would favor Devin.
Devin in that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if he didn't fight like he fought his last fight, if he just fights like regular Devin, don't matter if he clinches, whatever. This is regular fight.
I would
Thing
like to
is,
see
though,
him with Norman.
Barrios has very good footwork. Barrios moves really well. If anybody can chase Devin down and put him on the ropes, it's Barrios.
Barrios also does a good job of boxing too. So I mean, Devin can beat him. Devin definitely can beat him. I'm not gonna say he can't beat him. It'll be a tough.
Barrios is tough though, man. Barrios
got a nice hook too there, Thomas Hill.
You're right about that.
Sucks.
I like this. I like this.
I agree with his footwork and everything and all that.
Yeah.
I think Brian Norman is the candidate if Devin has a chance. If Devin can get his confidence back, I think the only one he's got a chance against is Brian Norman because Brian Norman's skills are not that great.
Yeah, I think he kind of overrated old school.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I think Quentin Randall be.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give you a little story.
He has sparked to the last couple of people. I can't deny that. He sparked them.
Who's that, T Hill?
Your boy Norman, he done sparked the last couple of fights.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, I got to give you that on that. Most of it, anything, boy.
I like the fight that's coming up to Sasaki. I like that fight.
Yeah, that is a great fight. That is a great fight.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
That's what
let me hit y'all with a little story. When I was boxing at a place called Delta Gym. We had another little friend of mine. My dad was helping out, trying to train a little bit. Well, before my dad started helping him, he was boxing for this other coach. He was doing pretty good. He had like 6 amateur fights. He lost 1 on points. The other 5 he won. He gets in there for his 7th, gets knocked cold out. I mean, out. His next 2 fucking fights, he literally ran, just like Devin.
Yeah.
He went to my dad and started asking him, because he seen I had 5 fights. I was undefeated. He asked my dad, what am I doing wrong? He said, son, here's what you got to do. He says, you got a confidence issue. You're scared of getting hit now that you've been knocked out. He says, what you got to do is just get in there and get hit. Let him hit you. Right. Once you tell yourself you can take the punches, you'll be all right. You'll get your confidence back. But if you keep running, you're never going to get your confidence back because you're always going to have it in the back of your head. What happens when I get hit? Get in there, get hit, and get it over with.
That's right.
That's what Devin needs to do.
It's boxing, yeah.
Hey, that's an advisement right there, man. That's for everything.
That's exactly it, man.
Dude, my dad like I said, my dad used to teach boxing in the Navy. That man was smart as fuck fucking man when it came to that shit.
I got a question though. What's Shakur Stevens' excuse then?
I can't answer that.
I'm trying to cut Shakur some slack. I try to cut Shakur some slack because of the bad hands, and he did have a bad hand in that De Los Santos fight. If he ever does that again and his hand ain't fucked up, I'm going to be all over him too.
He's done it 3 times by my count. to me, that's just what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I think that would be my answer. That's just how he fights, because he done it a lot, consistently. I would say.
It's like once, once, I'm like, okay, cool. He won the fight, whatever.
When you look at the Yoshida fight,
twice, all right, I'll give you another one. 3 times now.
Yeah.
When you look at the Yoshida fight, he fought his ass off. When he fought Valdez, he stood in there and fought his ass off. When he fought, what's the other guy he just beat not long ago?
Padley.
The last one?
No, not Padley. The one before that.
I don't know.
Was it
I can never remember that dude.
Huh? Artem Montadine.
Huh?
Oh,
Artem.
yeah, the German guy.
Artem.
Yeah.
I didn't in there for the Artem fight, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, if he does another Dos Santos, dude, I'm gonna be all over his helmet too.
I'm good.
What people don't understand is boxing is not in a good place right now. If we start condoning these fighters to do what Devin and Shakur did, bro, we're gonna lose even more freaking fans.
Yeah.
People are not gonna buy fights to look at that kind of shit.
I'm not.
That's a fact. But the good thing about that is that, like, those type of fighters, it's always been very rare to have a fighter that has that style. Like, I can
go back in the past, go back in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s, and find me one boxer that did what them two guys did. Find me one.
Damn. Oh, there we go.
I would have to think about it, but I can find you one, I'm sure. But I hear what you're saying.
Go look. Let me know.
What's up, BBL? I didn't even see you coming.
Uncle Cash, what's up, brother?
What's happening, BBL? What's going on, bro?
Oh,
how you doing today?
I'm doing well.
What up,
Mr.
BBL?
Chairman, man, Bureau, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Hey, we over here having a good conversation, talking that good talk that we call boxing. So tell us what you about to spin on right now.
What's up with you, BBL?
I just heard the future of boxing got a big fight coming up, and I'm not talking about Keith Colon. When I say the future of boxing, I'm talking about Emiliano Vargas got a big fight coming up.
Guess who?
They're gonna put him against that guy. What was the guy that fought George Gambos's dang.
The last one?
You know what I'm talking about? Had the cowboy hat on that they robbed.
Oh man, who was that? Damn.
Oh God, I don't know his name either.
Maxie Hughes.
Maxie Hughes.
Oh, Maxie Hughes. Yeah, they did rob him. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna move. Maxie Hughes gonna come to 140 and fight Emiliano.
Okay. Yeah. He did get robbed. He beat Campbell. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's gonna be great because Emiliano might be the best fighter at 140.
Yeah, I would pick Emiliano in that one. Yeah, probably stop him. Yeah.
Hey, who you got winning with the cash between B. Norman and Devin Haney? Who you got winning?
That's man. Ooh.
Depends which Devin Haney shows up.
Yeah, that's true. If Devin at Fort Regis shows up, I would pick Devin. If he's on his game right, I think Devin could beat Norman.
I've just been seeing Brian beating people dead. That's the only thing. He looks scary, man.
Like T.O. said, he's been catching bodies lately, man. Norman
he punched the tacos out of his last opponent. It was tacos everywhere.
Yeah. So
I don't mean to cut you off, Cass, but I gotta run. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bro.
Take it easy,
I always
bro.
appreciate you, bro.
All right, then
anytime, man. I'll be on next time. What up, brother?
Always welcome. Okay. Go ahead, BBL. What was you saying now? You was saying
no, I was saying he been punching the tacos out of a couple of guys, man. I think he's a real deal.
Yeah, Norman have. Him, if Devin was on his game, him and Norman would be a very good matchup, But
the problem is we don't know if Devin's ever going to be back on this game again if he don't get in there and fight.
Yeah, that's a good point, old school. That's a very good point. Yeah. We would have to see.
If he fought Brian Norman right now, dude, he would run his ass off, especially the first time Brian cracked him.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Get a few more outings under his belt. Now, if he do keep doing
Devin
that,
Haney?
Yeah.
You said he ran?
His last fight, absolutely.
Jose can crack, right?
Ramirez, yeah, Jose. Right, talking about that fight.
So does that mean that you don't engage in the fight just because somebody can crack?
I mean, if you don't want to get your ass kicked, old school.
Oh, bro, Regis could crack too. He fought Regis.
I mean, you know, like I know Regis was done when he got in there with Devin. He was finished.
So was Jose.
BBO, do you think that Ryan's performance has? Do you think Devin had PTSD a little though against Jose after that Ryan beat down when he, you know, the knockdowns and all that? You think they had anything to?
No, I don't think it had nothing to do with it because everybody gets beat up like that. It's not really it's not really a big deal. I just think that Devin got to get away from Bill, but that probably won't happen.
No,
that's a big problem.
I agree with that 100%. But like you said, it probably won't happen. But yeah, that would be
Bill
positive.
keeps writing checks his son can't cash.
You know, that would be
positive. I never realized this about Bill, but Bill is like a cancer, man. He's horrible, man.
Mm-hmm.
He is, bro.
100%. But like you said, that
I
ain't
seen
gonna
him
happen.
Somewhere lying. He was talking about
Go ahead.
It would be BBO, you still there?
No, that's the good Lord telling him to pipe down. He over here about to start some nonsense.
What I was saying was I heard Bill talking about Devin is better than Floyd. Get the hell out of here.
You know, Bill. Yeah.
They are, every time somebody keeps bringing these modern day boxers up and say they're like Floyd, bro, all they're doing is insulting Floyd, dude. Because none of these guys are half of what Floyd was.
And you know, that's why a lot of people don't like Devin because of Bill. That's
a
lot of people
absolutely. That's my problem with Devin is Bill.
He would have a lot more fans if he got the hell away from Bill. He really would.
Yeah, Bill make it about Bill. It shouldn't be about Bill. It should be about Devin.
About Devin. We need to hear from Devin more, not Bill. Bill ain't getting in no ring.
But you know what it is for Bill, right? Bill was never a boxer.
Never.
And he's living through his son.
You know who Bill remind me of? Y'all remember Buster Douglas's dad?
Yeah.
A lot like Buster Douglas's dad. He don't know how to sit down.
Yeah. He actually boxed, you know, be real. Buster's dad did, remember?
Yeah, he boxed, but I'm just saying, like, you know, remember how
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
When he fought Tony Tucker, he had his shirt on instead of having the Buster shirt on. So you gotta get out the way.
You talk about a dude, if he would have ever freaking got himself together and dedicated himself, Buster was damn good, bro. Buster had skills out the wazoo.
Yeah, he had it all, man. He had it all. Power in both hands.
Yep, power in both hands. He could crack, bro.
But you know the bad thing was he couldn't put that fork down, man. I know that feeling.
Nope. Yeah. Just like my boy, just like my favorite Riddick Bowe, bro. I could not put the damn fork down.
Mm-hmm. Y'all know that Buster that beat Mike Tyson in 1990 beat any of them heavyweights in that era, man.
I'm the only person I know till this day that picked Buster over Mike Tyson.
Yeah, you are old school.
You probably would have been, bro, because I don't think anybody believed that bug is. But I will say this.
Look, bro, everybody thought I was out of my mind when I picked Buster. Me and my cousin had a little wager on it, and I won. And my cousin's like, why the hell would you pick him over? I said, why? I said, for a couple of reasons. I said, Buster's mama died. I said, he promised her he was going to win that title. He promised. Buster had all the skills in the world. And if anybody could make this dude dedicate himself for that fight, it would be his mama.
He would have been the
man. That being said, that old school, my man still had an assist in that fight. Because that McFreak was knocked down for about 14 seconds.
Who won the fight, Thomas?
You right.
Who won the fight, Thomas?
He won.
There you go. I won my money,
that boy
too.
Won and lost in the same night. That boy got knocked out and still won the fight, bro. Only in America.
I stood there watching. Remember how they had the old fucking gigantic satellites that people had?
Yeah.
My friend had one of them, so I got to watch that fight. I was shadow boxing, dude. I couldn't sit down through the whole, and Buster was just ripping Tyson up, dude.
Yeah. He wasn't intimidated.
I couldn't take nothing away from me. He fought a heck of a fight.
He was not intimidated at all, and that messed
The
with
worst
Tyson
part is,
mentally, man.
I picked against him when he fought Holyfield because I knew after that
Yeah,
fight he was
he
done.
ballooned up, man. They say it was 400 pounds almost in between them two fights.
Yep, he was one and done, bro. Imagine if that dude just would have fucking dedicated himself, bro.
He would have been the man in the 90s at heavyweight.
He would have been. He really would have been. Riddick Bowe too. Riddick Bowe had it all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Eddie Futz said that about Riddick Bowe.
You know what they say, Uncle Cass?
He said Riddick didn't want it. You know.
You know what they say, man? If was a fifth, we all be drunk.
That's true.
Well, bro, Riddick's Bowe coach or trainer said about him. He's like, look, the problem with Riddick was when Riddick was coming up through the ranks, Riddick had no money, so he was fighting to eat. Once he got that big payday and won the title, and he had that money to eat, he wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Gotta eat to live, baby boy.
Yeah, well, he ate himself right out of the freaking, right out of boxing.
Two people that I thought would have been great, and things outside of boxing kept them from being great. Bruce Seldon and Oliver McCall.
Bruce. Yeah, Oliver McCall, yeah. He had
I thought Oliver was good, man. We seen him beat the dog crap out of Lennox for them first rounds.
Yeah. He had something mental going on or something with him, Oliver.
I hate to tell y'all, if Riddick Bowe would have fought Lewis instead of Holyfield, he'd have beat Lewis's ass.
Early 90s, yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know about that, man. I think Lennox could have beat Ali.
Go back and watch. Go back and watch that Olympic fight they stole from freaking Riddick Bowe over Lewis. He was piecing Lewis up in that fight.
Uncle Cat. So Ali was about 6'4", 6'3".
6'3", something. 6'3". Yeah.
All right, bro.
230, 25 round in that range.
Right, the worst fight I think I saw in my life had to be that Riddick Bowe and Galata fight. Every time he kept punching Bowe in the balls, man.
He did it both fights too, old school.
Bro.
And he was winning.
Poor Riddick probably never had a child after that. That man, that dude was using his balls as a fucking speed bag.
Yeah. Well, how tall was Lennox, BBO? About what, 6'6", something like that?
BBO left the building.
Well, I know he had a serious reach.
Lewis had some long arms, man.
Yeah. And,
but you ever notice Lewis waited to fight all the best guys to where they were almost out of boxing?
He did.
That tells you a lot about Lewis.
And he ducked Klitschko too. Remember, Klitschko was beating him, and the fight got stopped on cuts, and Lennox retired instead of giving Klitschko that rematch. He retired.
Well, I always say, if Lewis would have fought Holyfield or Bowe before they had their trilogy, Lewis would have lost to both of them. Yeah, because that trilogy between Bowe and Evander Holyfield took everything out of both of them. Neither guy was the same after that shit.
Nope, they sure wasn't. Yeah, they had 3 rough fights, man.
Yes, I think we way past the 3 hour or the 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we gotta get ready to get out of here. This happened every time, man. When we get the cook.
It's all right. We were talking some good shit.
Miss Cass just peeked in here too and gave me that look. So
She's keeping you in check, bro. She's keeping you in check.
I enjoyed it.
All right, fellas. I gotta go kick back. My throat's killing me.
Okay, old school. Y'all on tonight, right? Angry White Man.
Yes, sir. We'll be on tonight. Y'all check us out.
Okay. Definitely will.
Peace out, guys.
Catch you on the next one. T-Hill, you still there? T-Hill must have left the building already, too. Okay.
Nah, I ain't leave the building. What's up?
It got kind of quiet, man. We're going to get ready to get on out of here.
Oh, all right, then.
BBO gone. You want to close the show today? You haven't done it.
I'll close it real quick.
Okay.
Shout out to all the people that came up to the panel. Shout out my man Will I Am, Old School Art, my Raging Cajun brother. Shout out my good brother Professor. Shout out to the notorious one BBO. Shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to Mike Isaac, the champ. Shout out Donnie Williams. Shout out Crush, the Mickey Pricky legend. Shout out Mike Rim. Shout out Ray Patterson from Jersey. Shout out Ace Boogie. Shout out Remo from Let's Talk Fashion. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Mrs. Cass, the Better Half, and shout out to the Box Story, Cass Sports, where you go over the sport of boxing, you get to learn yourself something. He is literally the boxing encyclopedia, the Britannic of this YouTube street. So tune in, like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't commented, place a comment. He comment back. Sub to the channel. Drop a PayPal, drop a Cash App, drop a super chat. And until the next time, have a blessed day. We out.